Hello, my name is Blake Patterson, and welcome to Afro Reviews. On this week's episode, I examine Todd Field's Tar. As a friend pointed out recently, I had not been as kind to some recently acclaimed films for various reasons. My negative review of Triangle of Sadness in particular provoked shock among its fans. When it comes to modern cinema, I exhibit a strong interest in films where the artist expects the audience to consider and participate in their work. After 16 years, Todd Field has created such a vision for the adventurous viewer. Tar, a delicately absorbing drama with many socio-political themes, places Field at the forefront of American art house cinema, a mostly barren niche with filmmakers like Sean Baker, Jim Jarmusch, David Lynch, David Lowery, Terrence Malick, etc. From the beginning, the audience recognizes how Field's film operates through ambiguity and pacing. Through the central character Lydia Tarr and extraordinary Cate Blanchett, Field constructs a complex examination of power, systemic abuse, and contemporary culture's regard for art. Some writers portray Tarr through their political agenda, yet the approach transforms Field's multifaceted accomplishment into a reductive statement. While he creates elliptical choices, Field observes Tarr and the other characters without applying partisanship. Field displays awareness of every situation he develops, and audiences extract any meaning they view in their screening. One of the much-discussed scenes, a conversation between a bi-POC pangender student and Tarr, has been trivialized on the internet as if Tarr's attitude was akin to J.K. Simmons's outrageous Terrence Fletcher from Whiplash, and Field has crafted an intelligent study of a common subject discussed in schools and elsewhere. There have been debates about whether people could separate the art from the artist. The student Max dislikes studying sinful artists, yet Tarr dismisses their tone. In the scene, Tarr eloquently expresses, "Don't be so eager to be offended," and the narcissism of small differences leads to conformity. Max leaves the room as Tarr subtly chastises them. Since Field acknowledges the problem, it seems apt to discuss the matter. In the past, I have written about my enthusiasm or admiration for films by controversial figures. As a student of cinema, I always felt it was necessary to understand every movie I observed, even if the artist had morbid backgrounds. Most creators are questionable, whether egregious or tame, by contemporary standards. In other words, the notion of not being able to separate a creator's background from their work develops ignorance instead of education. It is a problem if the creator is a trailblazer. The subject is vital for those learning an artistic medium because they must know how to approach their craft through various influences. From Alfred Hitchcock to Stanley Kubrick, film scholars should know their contributions to cinema, even if they dismiss their misdeeds. Tarr's private behavior aside, she is fair to have a problem with a student's rejection of material she believes they should know. Imagine a student refusing to watch a John Ford Western in a film class because of dated aspects and John Wayne's behavior. It is an act of denying the aesthetic and conceptual evolution of art. Tangent aside, Lydia Tarr's appealing and coldly amusing nature devolves into a disturbing abyss of control and manipulation. As viewers gradually learn of Tarr's past behavior, each layer reveals insight into a victimizer's role in abusing their victims. Through a series of images concerning a member of Tarr's scholarship program, Field conveys how Tarr attempts to blacklist Krista Taylor and expects her associates to delete their scandalous emails. Tar's predatory actions lead Taylor to commit suicide, and the tragedy eventually results in Tar's downfall. What was once a creative passion had transformed into isolation and misery. As a viewer, it is riveting to observe how each of Tar's manipulations falls apart through various people in her circle, from assistant conductor Sebastian Brix's embittered replacement to her assistant Francesca Lentini's resignation. Tar's decisions regarding multiple characters are delicately suspenseful in their precise evolution. None of the transitions feel like contrivances because they feel authentic to the environment. The performers are superb at evoking disdainful facial expressions without saying many words. Nina Haas and Naomi Merlant leave indelible looks in Field's framing of their faces as they focus on Tar. By acknowledging the cycle of systemic abuse, Field establishes a fascinating exchange between Tar and her retired mentor Andres Davis, played by Julian Glover. The relationship at first seems pleasantly unproblematic until Field reveals their conversation about the Me Too movement. Davis expresses how he no longer has any influence in the music profession, yet he implies past misdeeds. The reason for the discussion is Tar's angst about her current conflict. Field and his two performers chillingly convey a deep-rooted history of violence. Field suspensefully crafts the initiation of a startling relationship between Tar and a young Russian cellist, Olga Metkina. Considering previous revelations, viewers consistently worry if Metkina will be Tar's next victim. Their interactions range from positive feedback on a performance to Metkina kissing Tar's hand as Tar relishes Metkina's gesture. Field's incorporation of a stuffed toy epitomizes Metkina's innocence and Tar's obsession with stealing it. As the film evolves, the audience thinks, "I hope Olga rejects Tar's behavior and does not fall for it." Fortunately, the allegations against Tar imply Metkina's rejection of her after an invitation. In his development of Lydia Tar, Field conceives his central character as a human being and not a mere caricature. From a New Yorker interview to rehearsals, Tar is a master of communication because she expresses her feelings articulately. Tar's presentation is the equivalent of listening to the most entertaining lecturer in a rigorous course the student would fail. The point is not to understand Tar's vocabulary, but how she is enthusiastic when discussing her profession. The audience is in awe of Tar's persuasive power to hold an audience's attention. Then Field concentrates on Tar's narcissism and how it bleeds into her practice. While one appreciates the conductor's energy, viewers also recognize Tar's pretensions and how she prides herself. Field is observant in his portrayal of Tar's domination over other lives and the damage she orchestrates. For all her glaring problems, Field emanates the relationship Tar does not treat as a transaction, and it is through her experiences with her adopted daughter Petra. While Petra refers to Tar as Lydia, audiences will not recognize the mutual compassion between Tar and Petra in her treatment of her colleagues and partner. Aesthetically speaking, Tar is Field's most audacious effort in how he frames and lights each shot and displays a keen interest in the psychological through surreal images. Field imagines Tar's nightmarish visions through dark halls, anonymous faces, and bizarre forest exteriors to evoke her isolation. Viewers sense the crippling anxiety of Tar's past as it haunts her each day, and it is subtly startling how Field executes each piece. The incorporation of Tar's exercises displays a person trying to maintain self-control as her life destructs around her. Field does not aim to overbear the audience with tension, but the participation results in intense effects. Even though the psychology is morbid, Field develops a moment where Tar mentally breaks down into tears as she views a tape of her hero, Leonard Bernstein. The recognition of her success as it diminishes into scandalous wreckage haunts Tar's soul. Field follows this moment with the revelation of Tar rebelling against her middle-class background to conform to the elitist environment. Strangely enough, the sequence earns its tragedy when one contemplates how Tar's youthful aspiration would enter the vacuum of a corrupt system. Blanchett's earnestness and Field's perception offer a well-rounded portrait of a possible victim and known abuser of power. Since the ending provokes some backlash, it feels necessary to analyze Field's observation of the scene. While one may interpret it as humorous or tragic, Tar's best and only opportunity to function as a conductor for a video game series in front of cosplayers. Since the final scene takes place in Southeast Asia, some people suggest Field displays a xenophobic perspective when the audience's race is not the focus. The finale implies that Tar cannot work within her prestigious lifestyle, so she must work as a conductor for a live theatrical experience, alluding to the New Yorker interview's smug reaction to Mel Brooks's success. The idea of working in this theatrical viewing of a commercial product is a kiss of death for Tar's ego. In the 2000s, Field directed 2 solid features with a sociological conscience, yet he has conceived his Margaret, the Kenneth Lonergan film. Unlike Lonergan's regression into tradition recently, one can hope Field continues to explore subjects in this mode. The amount of attention to each composition and theme is remarkable considering the time between Little Children and Tar, deriving from Michael Haneke, Stanley Kubrick, and Andrei Tarkovsky. Field utilizes his inspirations not as a sublimation of his identity for mimicry, but as a means to pave his road toward richness. As Tar would express, Field is not behaving like a robot, and audiences should be grateful for his daring effort. Thank you for watching this video. Have a great night.